And we're recording.
So, you know, we were talking a little bit about why are we doing this? Why now? So, do you wanna go first?
You go for it. You seem to have you got your whole thing lined up. I'm gonna respond to what you're saying.
What I always enjoyed about our conversations is I get to take the ideas that everybody else has had and kind of wrestle with it with you, which in turn helps me form my own opinion. So I've always appreciated that. And I think, this gives us an opportunity to just, again, take our conversations to a wider audience, but also model that behavior for the next generation, which I think is cool. And it's also going to be cool to look back at our thinking down the road. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? And just kind of have an archive of these conversations.
I like where you're coming from with this. For me, there's the personal need of, okay, let's give ourselves a reason to talk more. Because like you, it's a way for me to wrestle with some of these things that are going on, some of these ideas, some of these trends, concepts, insights, etc., and then get feedback on them. And there's been, there's definitely been a few times where I've said something in response to some of your thinking, and then I have to eat my words, which I appreciate. And
vice versa.
Yeah, and then the other thing I think too is, I think there's, again, like you said, there's a lot of this talking head marketing stuff out there, but they don't go far enough, I think. I don't know if I'm gonna call it philosophically, to kind of looking at, second, third, fourth, fifth order effects of the things that are happening. And I think media and marketing are very much a reflection of society. And a lot of the things we're seeing in tech tend to show themselves first in media and marketing and advertising before they show themselves anywhere else, maybe gaming, things like that. And I think we have a first row seat, if you will, and like we're participants in a lot of this stuff that a lot of people don't get to see and talk about and really think about.
Right. Yeah. So do you want to give a teaser of how we're gonna to the breakdown, or how we thought about it?
Yeah, I was hoping to have these like transitions ready and like go through that, but the best way I can describe it is pardon the interruption, but for business and marketing.
Yeah, I think when I think about it, it's a casual conversation that, short form's not the right word, but it's digestible and casual, right? It's almost as if you're sitting at the table with, two folks that have a lot of opinions and a lot of perspective on some of the new stuff that's coming down the pipeline. But unlike folks that are, form their opinion and then present it to the world fully baked, you're actually getting to sit in on some of the wrestling that lead to those decisions. And sometimes the outcome might be, yeah, we still got some more thinking to do on this thing, right? But at the very least, you're getting a front row seat to some of that thinking.
Well, let's be honest, are opinions ever really fully baked? I mean, they're always evolving, right? So let's give folks the pun intended, the rundown of what our segments are going to be and what they can expect. We got 3 segments planned as of right now. So first of all is the rundown. Garrio and I are going to pick on a weekly basis. This will be a weekly show as of right now. Or sorry, bi-weekly show. I'm kidding. Bi-weekly. Bi-weekly show. We're going to pick 3 of what we believe are the top most interesting and impactful current events happening in the world of business and marketing and adjacent things. That's why we're calling this marketing adjacent. We'll pick 3 and we'll maybe even ask our listeners for help picking some of these topics over time. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to have a segment called Is It Helpful? Which is we're going to pick a current or recent action or campaign, if it's marketing, something like that, that's been recently done or shared. And we're going to discuss, is this helpful to the brand? Do we believe it's the right decision? If we were in these shoes, would we do this? What impact do we see it having? So it's a bit of a way for us to dissect something specific. And last but not least, which may or may not be your favorite, but it's definitely going to be our favorite, if we had to pick favorites, is we're going to call the segment Perspective. And again, Garrio, as you were saying, I would call us active observers in this space, and we observe a lot of things happening. And this will be a time for us to discuss one of these things, one of these core trends that we're seeing, and add our perspective and thoughts on it, and where it's going to go, what impact it's going to have on, business, marketing, greater society, all that kind of fun stuff.
Should we talk a little bit about the sausage making behind coming up with the topics? Because I'm not gonna lie, I actually really enjoyed that bouncing back and forth, because there were some things that I did not even realize were happening. And when you shared some of those articles as we were trying to decide, what makes the cut, it was kind of cool to. It was a pleasant side effect or byproduct is hearing stuff that you're seeing that I might not have seen, and vice versa.
Actually, this might be fun since we're building in public. We've been having these conversations for a while. We had the general idea for this months ago, but then both of us were busy. We're doing other things, and we sat on it forever. And then we recorded a couple of our conversations just for posterity's sake. And then we finally said, okay, let's do this. And then we went from concept to this in a matter of a week.
Yeah. So I think we said, hey, let's do this, and let's figure out what it would look like in the next time we chatted. And that was a week ago. And when we did that, we came into it with two constraints. The first was what would need to be true for this thing to get launched in a week, right? And then we started asking ourselves questions about, okay, but based on what we do on a day-to-day basis, and what we consume and interact, what would be a part of our regular workflow that would make for an interesting segment? And we landed on, we're always looking at news, we're always commenting, we're always engaging on LinkedIn, right? This being a part of that, digital global conversation. We both do that. So that was going to be an easy way of getting content in. Now, the next question was, okay, how are we going to sort through these in a way so we're not just going on and on and on and on and on? And we kind of limited it to 3, right? But then by Tuesday, we would have to have selected what the 3 topics were going to be. And even just the exercise of doing that this week was a lot of fun, because some of the stuff that didn't make the cut, I'm still going down those rabbit holes, right? And then, there's so many, and this is going to sound a little bit, spicy for our traditional advertisers out there, looking at all the ads that get a lot of accolades and kind of show up. And then we, ask the question, like, how did this actually impact the bottom line? And those conversations that we have always lead to some interesting outcomes, right? Like when you kind of do the math in your head and you say, holy smokes, like how much did they spend on this campaign and what was the ROI? And could those dollars have been spent in a better way? Those are always interesting conversations. And in the last segment, landing on, well, those are all great. It's somewhat talking head. But again, we're constantly wrestling with ideas and challenging each other's thinking. And the idea of what's a segment that we can use to capture that magic when we have our conversations. And you were like, well, let's just call it our perspective, and then boom, perspective, right? And again, that took us what? We were hanging out, chatting. Took us about,
the whole thing took us about 30 minutes, I think, maybe 40.
To nail down. And then from there, it's just, okay, well, what are the what are the to-dos coming out of it? We divvied it up, and here we are. So I think this is a good example of, or a good takeaway for folks who are thinking about doing something like this, that it doesn't need to be complicated.
Well, I think the way I was thinking about this is that I think, as it very often happens in kind of the entrepreneur's mind, like you're scratching your own itch. And I'm thinking, okay, I listen to a decent amount of podcasts. I watch, I follow a number of, YouTube shows and things like that. And I don't listen to a lot of marketing podcasts or even business podcasts anymore, because they're all the same. It's a lot of the same people. A lot of this, they're having the same conversations over and over again. They're usually promoting their book, right? Or something like, or their show or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just becomes very, very repetitive. And so some of this is like, okay, if I were to watch something and listen to something, what would I want to watch and listen to? Right?
Yeah.
Should we leave people with a cliffhanger of some of the stuff we're going to talk about next week? Or should we save it?
The cliffhanger is there's going to be a lot of spicy topics. There it is.
There it is. Spicy topics. And on that note, we'll see you all next week. I like that.
I'm stealing that term. Creator enablement.
There you go. Creator enablement. Steal it. IP starting today. Trademark. I think that is the way that you diversify risk. Because
and how do I do it in a way that honors the investment of blood, sweat, and tears?
Are we considered geriatric millennials? Is that what we are?
You know what? Legacy building mode, right? Like what?